Welcome to another episode of Mighty Chair Mods.
I'm Marty.
And I'm Moog. And today we're taking this shitty 3JZ out and dropping it in 13B.
Is that the guys from Hoonigan?
It was the guys from Hoonigan, Martin.
They're hanging around?
They're gone now.
Okay,
it was a
good.
quick flyby. They reckon they're going to come back for an outro, but we're back on our own again now, Martin.
Full cameo
to work
action.
on this mad Subaru wagon. Even I'm getting excited about it. Maybe that's just because I want a Subaru again. I actually want a Nissan.
Good.
I want a GTR.
Supergramps.
They're too expensive. Someone give me the GTR. I want an S13. Last night,
Oh my God,
I
he's
spent the
doing
night
it.
on car sales going through S13s. They're so expensive now.
Yeah.
S15s are through the roof. I'm going to buy one. I'm telling you now.
Oh, God.
I'm not even dangling your clarinet down into the oboe hole. Anyway,
I'm going to be throwing your Nissan book. No, I won't throw any more books, don't worry. Supergramps is out of fuel system. Today we're going to fix it. It's that simple. Come along for the ride. We're going to throw in a mad new fuel hanger, some injectors, open it right up, and then maybe we'll even take it to the dyno.
let me show you what we are installing. Oh, sorry, mate. I was just checking the last time Subaru actually did anything better than a Nissan, and I needed some old technology to do so. Martin, today we're installing a RADIUM engineering fuel hanger. This one here is made for modern Subarus, but you can get them for all sorts of different cars. Why would you install it? Let me tell you why. Firstly, this here lets you install 2 pumps instead of 1, and 2 is twice as good as 1. Why would you want to do it? For high horsepower applications, or because you're running E85, which obviously needs more flow. Now, Supergramps over here is running on E85. It is almost running out of fuel. We're hitting over 90% duty cycle on the current system. It is on the factory hanger that has been hacked up. It does have a different fuel pump in it, but we're about to be upgrading that. Now, while this can run 2, we actually only need 1, so that's going to go flip into there. We are also today going to be running some different injectors. One more note about this. If you are running different fuel pumps, you probably need to upgrade your wiring. We already ran some wiring before, so OEM wiring might have to go out the window. But anyway, we'll get to that afterwards. Then we're going to make sure that that fuel gets to where it needs to get to go to with some injectors, and then we should be maximising the power opportunities of Supergramps. And then according to Marty, apparently then the car's going to be finished. Now, when is a project car finished? Apparently just in a couple of days, which is going to be incredible because then we are moving on to some other projects, which is very, very exciting. And guess what? It's not even a Subaru. Martin, the last thing that I have to show you over here, of course, is this service manual. No, okay, I won't. Don't throw it.
I'm
Don't
not gonna throw it, man.
So Martin is now going to show you what tools you're going to need, and then we are going to dive into the final upgrade of Supergramps.
These are the tools you're going to need. You're going to need your usual assortment of hand tools, screwdrivers, socket wrenches, stuff like that, German bendy things, if you've got them, to get the fuel pump out. You're also going to need to remove fuel lines, so it's handy to have some pliers and some little choppers as well. I've got these cool, like, hose removal-y things, and these cool hose removal-y things. If you've got quick GM style fuel hose thingies, I don't know the word for them either. Also, once you get in there, we're going to do a bit of rewiring, so we're going to use some heat shrink. We've got solder, got a multimeter to work out what wire does what. We've got a soldering iron, in this case it's the Mad Roby battery one, and a heat gun as well for making our heat shrink shrink.
First up, the factory fuel hanger has to come out. These plastic hangers are common on early 2000s cars, and while there is some room for upgrades, you're often limited by the physical size of the pump itself and the capacity of the electrical system attached to it. The fuel lines use these quick connects, which you can remove using long nose pliers or special removal tools. It's also a good idea to clean up the top of the tank with some parts cleaner so no dust or dirt falls inside your tank when you pull everything out.
Everything's removed. We can take out this metal collar that locks everything in. It's a little bit of a game to sort of wiggle it all around. You've got the fuel lines in the way and a few other bits and pieces. They need to go in the same place, and then you can lift the hanger out. This is also a little bit tricky on pretty much all cars because you've also got the level sender in there as well that's sort of constantly fighting you. So this usually comes out with a little bit of sheminging.
You got to watch out for the tea bag as well, Martin, on the bottom.
That's the thing, the tea bag is always in the way. So you can also get rid of, now think of it, you can get rid of this gasket to make our lives a bit easier. Gasket only goes in one way, so with that out of the way, you might have a little bit more luck. There's always a fight. Here we go. And behind you, there's a big plastic tub. Always a good idea to have a plastic tub to drop this into because it's also going to leak a bunch of fuel out.
Wait there, Martin. I will get the big black plastic, also known as the blastic plug.
The plastic plug. So, with that free, 3, 2, 1, in she goes. It's going to leak a bunch of ethanol. Luckily I ran the tank down because that is a lot messier when your tank's completely full.
Martin, I could just very efficiently show the people what this looks like when you do that without emptying your tank, which is what I do on the Golf. Let's have a look at that right now. And that's why you want to run your tank down first.
Yeah. We've got the old pump out and on the bench. The first thing we're going to do is rescue this rubber gasket because we're actually going to reuse that. We'll tidy it up and reuse it. As you can see, the box basically just replaces the factory one and drops straight in with a few more connectors on top as well. So to fit the pump into this, you actually sort of need to hack it up and get in there with a multi-tool, what are they called? RX7s. And then rip this up. All we're actually going to do is borrow a few parts off it. So we're going to use the fuel level sender, which is the little tea bag. So basically we just undo that and unclip it, and then we recycle that onto this thing. Some later model Subarus also have fuel temperature. We don't have that, and even if we did, we'd have to use that as an input to the Haltech. Don't really need to know what temperature the fuel is. It's not a race car. So basically this will unsnap and we transfer that over. So now we're basically going to strip this. We'll have a look at the pump that's in there too. Strip this, transfer it over, install our pump in, and then we can get about installing that back into the car.
After a quick check of the instructions, the new hanger needs to be partially disassembled to install the new high-flow fuel pump. In our case, one big pump with upgraded electricals will supply more fuel than the engine and turbo can translate into kilowatts at the wheels. But an extra pump can easily be added later on if we need it.
You might be wondering why I'm using a single pump when I already have a single pump in the old one. There's some limitations with this factory unit in terms of what size pump you can fit in there. Supergramps is hitting over 90% duty cycle, which means there's just no more fuel flow available. What this allows me to do is put the pump in, and also because I've got extra options with wiring, one of the limitations of the factory one is the wiring. It gets hot, it overheats, and then your pump doesn't work as efficiently as it should. We've got some really big terminals on here that means we can carry much more current, and we've run that extra wiring up to the front to the Haltech to control it all. So with a pump that's slightly bigger than what I had before, and better wiring that won't overheat, and if I need to, the option to put a second pump in, I'm not going to run out of fuel flow anytime soon. Stupid Euro gloves, far out, man. How does anyone do anything? It's like showering in a raincoat. Two more steps to go. First is to plug in your fuel lines. Now that's different depending what kind of car you got. Some use rubber lines, some use these connectors which require adapters which we'll put in. The next step then is wiring. So we are going to get the fuel level sender wiring out of here. We're going to get rid of the factory supply line because that's no longer good to us. It's just too small. And we're going to install our mad new power supply for our pumps. The kit comes with some ring terminals, which we hack off the factory plug and we install these on, and then these go directly onto the hanger itself. I've got the fuel level sender and I've also got the power for the fuel pumps. Now what I've done is I've actually used 2 wires, one for power and one for ground. If I ever want to go to a 2-pump setup, all I have to do is separate them and separate them up at the relay box, and it's good to go for a second pump, saves me having to run wires again. So we're going to bolt these wires down, put this grommet back on, tape it up, and then move to the front of the car.
All right, Martin, what do you got, mate?
I got some injectors. Now it feels very cooking show-like, doesn't it?
What?
Here's one we prepared earlier, except we didn't because we're not that organised. These are the old injectors.
Yes.
They're actually a bit gummy and stuff. They haven't been out of the engine for a long time, like years of time.
Yeah.
And they probably were due for a clean. Anyway, these were scaling up at about 900s, as 900s, sold as thousands. What I've got to replace it is some 1300s, which look like a little spaceship.
They do.
Don't you reckon?
They look like... Actually, they look like you could be vaping with them, Martin. You know
Actually
what I
do
mean?
look like a vape. So we've got a set of 6 here, and we are just basically giving ourselves a little bit more headroom. So hitting over 90% duty cycle with bigger injectors and bigger pump and more flow,
Yep.
we should be well under that, hopefully into the 70s. So there's plenty of headroom above there. These look pretty cool. They basically just go straight in, same as the old ones did, just a replacement. They
Look
are
at that.
a slightly different length, and it does happen when you're changing injectors sometimes that you end up with a different length. So all that means is there is one of these
Oh, a little spacer.
spacer, and all that means is the spacer is either going to come out entirely, which it actually looks like it probably will just come out now.
Yeah.
Looks almost the same, or if not, you just basically grind that down or put a different size one in and put the rail back in. So that's super simple. We're going to show one and the other 5 are going to happen. Others are going to be here all day. So that's going to get installed into there.
Yep.
They're going to go get cleaned and hopefully go into something else down the track because they're
Cool.
still good. And we'll have some injectors.
Well, Martin, I will get behind the camera and let's show our friends here how to install an injector. Actually, let's not show them how to. Let's just install it.
Do it.
The trick with installing new injectors is to make sure you keep everything well lubricated. The tiny rubber O-rings are all that stands between 40 pounds per square inch of fuel pressure and the hot outside world of your engine bay, so look after them. Depending on your injectors, some go into the rails first and some go into the engine first, and then the rail is bolted down to hold them in place. These ID 1300s, along with a small bump in fuel pressure from our adjustable regulator, is an incremental upgrade that should help support more power.
Upgraded fuel system is installed. Now it's time to go and get the car retuned because we've got bigger injectors and a different fuel pump. We do have to go and check it, and we'll find out what power figure Supergramps is capable of.
So you might have seen that video that we made the other day, which you're watching right now, where we put the fuel system in Supergramps. A quick, easy, little bolt-in job for you on this mad Subaru. Now, it's actually been a couple of days since we've made that video, and yet here I am. Take a look at this room. Take a look at what is going on in here. And here's my good friend Martin looking a little bit despondent. But
needed a jelly cup to make myself feel better.
I know what you need, Martin. You need a bucket of water. Here you go. And I have one over here. No, it's fine. Because, see, the thing is, Martin, sometimes when you've had a big night working on cars, I know exactly what it is that you need. So I'm going to fill this bucket up over here, and I'm going to get you all awake. I'll let that fill up.
I'm out of the car.
Martin, what has been going on? What's going on, man?
It's the curse of the bolt-on parts.
Okay. Is it the bolt-on farts? The bolt-on farts fault. Is it the bolt-on parts fault, or is it your car, Martin? Like, what's going on, man?
It's both of those things. So you know how you get mods for your car,
Yes.
and it's all good and it's all exciting, and you go, yeah, it's all gonna work, and then you put it in, and then one little thing doesn't fit.
Yeah.
So that's all right. I can fix it. I'll get a little thing and a little hose, and I'll change it, and then that doesn't fit.
Yeah.
And then you keep going down the line, and next thing you know, your engine's half apart, and all your back seats out, and all your fuel pumps
Yes.
out. Yeah, so that's kind of what's happened here. I think I've more or less beaten it, but it's like I had to go through our entire collection of plumbing stuff And I don't even have everything. There's still stuff that I have to get that's on the way to make the petrol or the ethanol get from there to there.
Okay. It was 2 days ago that we put the bonnet down.
I've been doing it pretty much ever since.
Okay.
Because, I mean, it was done, sort of, but now then it wasn't.
But by done, sort of, because I remember when we were shooting it, we're like, we need to like connect a thing over there, but we'll just finish our video.
Yeah, because
and
there was
then
only
connect the thing later.
There's only one little thing that wasn't connected. And it's like, that's easy, I'll just plug it in. And I went, you know, like Back to the Future when he's trying to connect that thing when the car's going through the thing with the lightning strike on the clock tower, and then he's trying to go through with the hook on the back of the DeLorean, 88 miles per hour, and it doesn't work, and it times the lightning up.
Never seen it.
It was like that.
Okay.
And then it wouldn't connect.
So what's happening, Martin?
Well,
he finished it? It doesn't look finished.
it's almost finished. So a few things happened. Mainly it was that fuel system stuff, and that is sorted now. And the injectors that we put in there are all good. But then I thought, I better check the condition of the spark plugs. And I did that, but I don't know that was a great idea because I noticed one of the plugs was looking a little bit unhappy. I don't even know where it is. One of the plugs was looking a bit unhappy, and I thought, you know what, I should throw a spark plug in it. So I tried to get a spark plug, couldn't get a spark plug because these very particular kind of spark plugs had to wait half a day for them. While I was waiting half a day for them, I'm like, better make sure the catch can hasn't got too much oil in it. Spray in the catch can. The good news is, and someone did ask about this, that's how much oil came out of the catch can. Good news, but there's other problems, which is the engine is covered in oily schmutz, which means it's leaking from somewhere, which means I worked out that the blow-off valve, there was a seal in the blow-off valve that had perished over time, and then that came out, so I had to find new seals for the blow-off valve, and then I had to put a new thing in the blow-off valve, the new seal that goes in there, and that went in, and that was all fine, but then...
Oh, Martin.
And it kept going, and so now I'm still waiting for things. The plugs are almost here, the rails, and then the fuel rails, and then I ended up having the welder thing on the fuel rails because the fuel rails, the thing was bent, and so I had to weld a fitting onto that, but then I don't have the right angle fitting to go from here back into the fuel line that goes onto the turbo, and because the turbo's there, it's in the way, and if there was no turbo, it wouldn't be a problem, but there is a turbo, so it is a problem.
So the moral of the story is Supergramps is for sale.
No, stop it.
No, but we'll do an auction, and we'll give some of the money to charity. What? Let's just sell it, man.
I'll sell this if you sell your 240. No, see, I didn't think so.
That's totally different.
It's not different at all.
It's totally. Look at this thing, man.
240 badly.
Oh, dude, don't. We were meant to be going to the dyno.
I was meant to be at the dyno.
Has that now been cancelled?
I was meant to be at the dyno an hour ago, and luckily Tuning Fork said, it's all good, man. I'm not too busy. Just when you're done, tell me, let me know. So my plan, I think when I get this fitting for this thing that I don't have, and that all goes back in, and I put spark plugs in it, there should be no problem. It should be good.
Okay, so here's what I'm going to say to the people out there, because I think it's fair to communicate. Either right now is just going to be, and don't say anything, Martin, for a minute. Either right now is just going to be the end of the video, and it'll just cut to a logo, and that's it, and we'll get back to some dyno stuff later. Or, if it still looks like there's a bit of time running, that means probably there's going to be some dyno happening, and you can hang around for that.
Next time on Mighty Car Mods, Supergramps has a date with the dyno.